Welcome everybody, welcome to the Red G Fox channel. We are finally back on our normal scheduled program where we review every Tuesday episode breakdown. We are in season 2 and today I have to say it's probably in my bottom 5. I've said it a million times. Episode 1 through 136 is still better than anything today, and it's a great show, one of the best of the 70s, Sanford and Son, which all you're going to talk about and see on this channel. But we still have to get to these ones where you feel like, you know what? It's not the most popular. And how we know? IMDb, not just from our own opinion, IMDb has it at 7.3. Now, there is a couple that are in the 6.9 throughout show history, but this is the second lowest of this season. The worst being the episode The Kid, which is in my personal favorite. So that just goes to show this episode called The Infernal Triangle could be your favorite. If you're watching now and you love this one, please put in the comments if this is one of your favorites, because in the past I've said, hey, you know what? This is not a popular one, and someone always says, hey, I love that one. But in the Infernal Triangle, let's get to it, 7.3, the summary. I'm going to try to change it up a little, see if we can just kind of break it down and get through it as quick as possible, because like I said, it's got probably the least amount of laughs I've ever seen in a Sanford and Son show history. The whole point is Fred comes home, he's excited, Lamont's like, hey, what's going on? It turns out Fred is excited, met this new woman and is engaged. The problem is she is a little bit younger, turns out to be a lot more younger than Lamont had even planned on, and wait till he meets her. Then it becomes a big mix-up once they actually get to meet. But that's the whole premise of it, is it's just 3 people in this episode, one of the rarest episodes where you ever just see 3 characters the entire time of the show, and it's just the new girl Judy, Lamont, and Fred. So let's get to the fun facts. There's not very many, too. Kind of minimal facts, but Kitty Lester, she's the one who's playing it. She's actually 12 years younger in real life. Her real life actor is 12 years younger than Lamont, Damon Wilson, even though she's only 5 in the show. And she's actually 12 years older than Fred. So that's funny. She's right in the middle. Fred's supposedly too old for her in real life, 12 years older. Why can't I say Red Fox? That's the name of the channel. Red Fox is 12 years older than her, while Damon Wilson is 12 years younger. I just thought that was so bizarre. That is a fun fact. As well as this show was exactly taken from Sanford and Son, the original series, the British show that Sanford and Son was inspired by. And that episode is called Two's Company. And we know three's a crowd, which is in this one, just 3 people. Let's get to our familiar faces, and that is the only other person in it, and that's Katie Lester, who plays Judy Edwards. She was also in several other shows. She had a big list, but she's probably not as popular as some of the other female characters we've had in our show. Little House on the Prairie. She was in something called Blue Velvet. Killing Them Softly. I've heard of that. One of my favorite shows growing up, The Wonder Years. And she went on to do several movies. I think Blue Velvet was one of them, but also House Party 3, which was pretty big at that time when it came out. Not as big as House Party 1. But, so she had been in movies and shows. Comment below if there's something that was really big for you, because a lot of the shows I looked up, I'm like, that was okay. You know, maybe it was bigger for you at that time if you remember her. But those are her biggest things when it comes to familiar faces. So let's get to the breakdown. It comes in, Fred, he's dancing, he's excited. Anytime Fred's singing, it's a personal favorite.
Would you tell me so? Is she fooling? Is it just fooling?
But Lamont, before he got home, Lamont was worried. He even called the police. He's like, hey, you got any reports on an old man who might be injured?
Hello, police? Listen, I was wondering if you have a report of an injured old man within the last hour or so.
Because he was getting concerned is that he never comes home. And I love the green robe, the same one Lamont's always wearing, and that they even give to Dolly later on when Grady's girl Dolly, that's my robe. So he's in his famous green robe. Fred comes home and he's singing and he's like, what's going on? I know you're excited. And to make it short, basically Fred says, yeah, I'm in love. I was with the girl. And Lamont made a joke, oh, is she from the massage parlor or is she from the pool, whatever, you know, some club? And Fred's like, no, don't be making fun of her. Miss Edwards. He calls her Miss Edwards. And he's like, who is this? And he says, he does say she's a little younger, but she means a lot to him. And he's going to go to bed. He's not going to stay up, right? Lamont's like, no, let's talk about it. And this is what I really like about this episode. It's probably my favorite thing from it. Like I said, I'm going to have a much shorter breakdown today. I'm not, because like I said, there wasn't so much, but we will cover the funny parts. But with this, Lamont actually takes Fred's side. It's so weird. Any other time, I mean, he didn't even like the Barracuda, what she even brings up when they're talking about, he's like, I'm in love with her, Lamont. You know, I really do care about her. And he likes her, and she's got 2 kids. And he's like, what? how young is she if she's got two kids, old, young enough to have two, or old enough to have two kids. But Lamont, when he hears everything about how Fred's like, she's classy, she's lovely, she's divorced, kids, and he'd love to have her in the
Wash
house.
station always full of stockings and stretch pants hanging all over the bathroom. You like that?
I love it.
Right, for Fred, and he does open up, and it's so good to see that, where he opens up and he tells Lamont, hey, you know what, this means a lot to me. You don't have to worry if you go out. I don't have to be. You don't have to worry about being alone, and it's a companionship. And I like having the thoughts of kids around the house and making a family here, and in my older age, it's exciting. So Lamont's thinking, hey, maybe she's in her 50s, right? And so he's like, you know what? I'm okay with it, Pop. And I love that. I love that because Lamont, a lot of times in show history, gets a bad rap of being so grouchy with Fred. And he finally opens up and says, you know what? Let's do it. So he says, hey, she's coming to meet you. And Fred's excited now because he's like, he's not used to this. He's not used to Lamont saying, okay, let's do it, Pop. You can do it. And so it's cool. It paints a really good picture of how much he does care for his father, right? He does care for his dad. And so he's going to meet her the next day, and then we get to the next day, and Fred, one of the funniest scenes, I love it. He's got the big fro black wig, and he's putting it on, and it looks funny, even the sideburns just don't line up. And Lamont comes down, and Lamont's like, what is that? And Fred, we got to look at a clip of this.
What is that? It's a wig. What does it look like?
It looks like a big black Brillo pad.
I love that scene. And Lamont's like, it looks like a big black Brillo pad. At least Fred, remember he even says, dipping it in the Clairol. At least Fred takes it off. He's like, all right, if you don't like it, because he says it does make me look younger, and you can see why. But it's kind of weird, unless Fred, he hasn't been seen her. Maybe he always keeps the hat on. He hasn't been dating her with it for, several weeks. Or I think he was going with her for a month. But he hasn't, so why would you throw it on now? So Judy shows up, and he's excited to introduce her, and Lamont's pouring the drinks. He's like, hey, let's get some drinks and do a toast. And she comes, and he lets her in the door. And we can see right away, hey, yeah, she is younger. But her voice sounds a little older, kind of like a little raspier and older. But they're portraying her to be younger. In real life in this time, I want to say she was in her late 30s, maybe even early 40s. And remember, 12 years old, so Red Fox was in his 50s. So yeah, she was around 39 to 40. They got her playing a 35-year-old. But then when Lamont takes the drink, he's got a drink, he turns on and sees her, he just freezes. Look at that.
Where your manners?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pop. Wait, drinks here.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's my drink. You already had yours.
The way he freezes, takes a drink, and Fred's like, hey, that's my drink. And then he's like, oh yeah, sorry, Pop. And he goes to get another one, he drinks. Because he's blown away, and we don't know. And honestly, the first time I remember seeing it, I was like, he must just be shocked, but why isn't he just going, hey, Dad, this is ridiculous. She's way too young. He's not even that. He has a different kind of shock, like he almost can't believe it's someone he knows, and that's what we're going to find out as they're talking, and he can't wait to go. They're going to do the drinks, and he introduces her, and he's like, hey, she's excited. She's down for it, and they're going to go out that night. Remember, he's going to take her out to eat and propose to her, and she knows it. This isn't a secret. She knows it. And Lamont's like, hey, you need to go in style. Forget the truck. Let me call a cab. And I love when he gets to go on there, and Fred's like, hey, make sure you don't call one of those white cab companies. Let's look at that clip.
And don't call no white cab company, because, see, as soon as you give them the address, they hang up in your face. I had to call 3 cab companies before I finally got one. One guy wanted me to put a deposit up for his hubcaps.
The way he says that, hey, don't call one of those white cab companies. It's so good how his total attitude changed, how he's about like, you know what, we don't want to do that because one member that they wouldn't come. He says that later. That's right. I forgot that. When he's like, oh, they wanted us to put out like a down payment or something because in case something happens. That's when he goes. But Lamont's like, hey, the phone's not working. Go next door and call. And Fred's like, okay. That's when we get to see the interaction between Judy and Lamont. He's like, and right there, he knows her. So they embrace with a hug, go to the commercial break if you don't have DVDs. And when they come back, that's when they talk, and Lamont's like, man, I can't believe it. It's been years since they've seen each other. And now we find out that Lamont actually was dating her, and he was in love with her. And he took that trip to St. Louis with his dad, and he sent the letters, and she never got it. And it turns out it was her mother. She didn't like Lamont. And she said, well, my mom said, how's it going to be if we get married? And I'm 50, and you're still in your prime at 45? I don't know if that was meant to be a joke, but I'm like, what? How is that? Your prime is not 45. And secondly, 5 years is nothing. 50 or 45, That's nothing. That 35, 40, that's why I think it's comical. Maybe that's how it was back then. Comment below if you said, hey, it was like that. I mean, because back in the day, Little House on the Prairie, you might have a 14-year-old marry a 29-year-old, right? It was just once you're like 13, you're considered a woman. And obviously they changed it for good reason. But it's different. And that's why I'm like, I don't think 5 years, 35, 40, 45, 50, it's no different. But I find that funny. So anyways, I dragged that on too long. So the mom was against it, and now Lamont's like, well, now what are you going to do? He said, my dad is older, and she's like, and she explains it, hey, I got kids, I'm divorced, I'm 35. Once I hit 40, I ain't going to find someone knocking on my door. She wants security, she wants a home, and she did open up and tell Fred, as he had said earlier, he was one of the nicest guys she ever met. Little did we know, she also thinks Lamont is one of the nicest guys she ever met, and their father and son. And remember, he went by a different name, J. Paul Rudolph. It was some weird name.
Besides, you didn't call yourself Lamont then, remember?
What?
No. Your name was J. Ruperol.
But he went by a different name because she's like, I didn't know that this was your father. She had no clue. So now it's an awkward situation because Lamont's like, she's like, I got to, and he's like, then marry me. Marry me. Go with someone younger. She's like, but your father already told him. And she's like, he's not that much. And he's all, remember he said he's 59. He only lied by 6 years, but that's a big thing at 65. And then I love Lamont, you know, when he's like, hey, by the time you reach 65, by the time you get Social Security, he's going to be in his 90s. Have you seen a 90-year-old in a bathtub? Or is it 100? I think he says 100. A 100-year-old in a bathtub. He's like, you're going to have to hold him from getting sucked down the drain. So that's a pretty good line. Like I said, the jokes I'm dropping on here that we're talking about, those were the funniest parts. There wasn't anything that, like, big comical scenes, which is why it's probably lower on the scale when it comes to ratings. It's still a good one because, like I said, I love seeing Lamont be kind. Then Fred comes home, and this is another great line. Let's look at this one.
Pop, Judy and I are lovers.
But I wasn't gone but 5 minutes.
Oh, that's so good. Because Fred he's like, Lamont's like, I gotta tell you, Dad, we're in love, you know, we're lovers. Yeah, he says, we're lovers. And Fred's like, I was only gone 5 minutes. Then they have to break it down to him, and you feel bad for Fred. But now I see Fred, he's like, you know what? Hey, I get it. You guys were there first. You know, it's weird saying how she was going to be his wife. Now she's going to be, and Lamont, remember? He's telling her, he's like, no. It's the same thing, Dad. You know, it's okay, Pop. She's still going to be living in the same house. She'll just be in separate rooms. And that's just weird. And Fred's like, no, I'm going to move out. I'm going to move out. And he's like, you're not moving out, Dad. And they start getting kind of heated because Fred kindly, like Lamont did, says, okay, you could be together. I'll get out of here. I can't be staying here. I'll come here. I'll help coordinate, but I'll go stay in a different place, you know, a boarding house, something. I can't be here. And Lamont, and this is what I love, she goes to kind of break them up to talk about it. And they're like, no, you stay out of it. You know, not in a mean way, but they're like, we're discussing this. You stay out of this. And they're talking back and forth. And then she kind of backs away a little. And then they go in the kitchen. And that's when Fred's like, no, I can't do it. And Lamont's like, no, we got to do, you know, we'll stay. You can't leave, Dad. You can't leave. Is what it comes down to. And it's showing kindness on both sides. And then they come back out and Judy's gone. And then they wanted to talk to Judy about it. They can't find her. And they found the ring, the engagement ring box with the note. And then they read it and it says, oh, you know what? You guys are already together. You guys are already both married. Right? And we know what that is. We've covered it in the past. We've had dozens of comments on our channel where people are like, they are like a married couple. And other people have said that. And she got it down. She knew that they were like that. And so it's good to see that at least the show recognizes that. And they leave and they're like, what does that mean, married couple? And they go and then they start fighting over where they're going to eat. They go out, they come back home, and then it ends and they're talking and he's like, hey, you know what? What are you done, Pop? Are you done going after women? Right? Lamont's like, you know, let's stop. And Fred's like, oh, God made Eve from one of our rib bones.
Well, son, you know what the Bible says. That woman was made from a rib. I can live without a lot of things, but I can't live without ribs.
He said, I can live without a lot of things, but I can't live without ribs. So it's a good ending. It's a fun one seeing Lamont and Fred kind of be kind to each other. But overall, definitely in my bottom 5. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. A couple clips in here, which was funny, the best of it. But this is probably one of the least famous favorite episodes. Next week, I cannot wait as we get to, I believe it's Pops and Pal with Julio's back. I think it's that one. It better be. but I can't wait anytime we get with Julio. So thanks a lot, guys. Be sure to check out my latest videos, even our live show we just did about the Chicago Bulls and Sanford and Son being the exact same. If there's anything in this show you liked or enjoyed, please click the like button. It really helps my channel and promotes the videos. And if you haven't already, subscribe, you big dummy. Have a great week, and we'll see you on Friday. Peace.